Love versus opposition. Zoey Klein's wedding chaos with family's blessing and Bill Klein's dilemma. Hello friends, I am Elena. Welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The story of Zoey Klein's wedding journey is one filled with love, chaos, opposition, and the delicate balance between family blessings and a father's deepest dilemma. As the youngest member of the little couple family, Zoey has grown up before the eyes of millions, transforming from a shy little girl into a confident, ambitious young woman. Now, standing at the threshold of marriage, Zoey finds herself facing a storm of emotions, decisions, and complicated family dynamics. At the heart of it all is Zoey's undeniable love for her partner, a love story that has blossomed quietly but powerfully. Her relationship has been built on trust, mutual respect, and resilience. For Zoey, this marriage represents not only a union of two hearts but also a symbol of independence and a declaration that she is ready to take charge of her own life. But like all major milestones in the Klein family, nothing comes without its share of challenges. The announcement of Zoey's engagement sent waves through the family. Jennifer Arnold, her mother, responded with cautious optimism, balancing her joy with the natural worry that every mother feels when her daughter steps into the unknown. Her blessing came quickly, but it was led with the protective instincts of a parent who has always shielded Zoey from the harsher sides of life. Jennifer's stance was clear. She wanted Zoey to be happy, but she also wanted to ensure that the man entering their family truly understood the responsibility of loving Zoey unconditionally. Bill Klein, however, found himself in a far more complicated position. As Zoey's father, his protective instincts were on overdrive. To him, Zoey was still his little girl, the same child he had fought so hard to provide for, nurture, and raise in a world that often underestimated her. Bill's dilemma was not about denying Zoey happiness, but rather about his fears. Fears that perhaps her partner was not ready for the weight of marriage, fears about Zoey stepping too quickly into adulthood, and fears about losing his special bond with his daughter. This internal conflict became one of the defining challenges of the wedding preparations. Bill's hesitation was not hidden. His protective nature clashed with Zoey's determination to carve her own path. The conversations between father and daughter were heartfelt but tense. Zoey reminded him that she was no longer a child, that she had the right to choose her happiness, and that his role now was to support her, not shield her. For Bill, these words were a mixture of pride and heartbreak. He was proud of Zoey's courage and independence, yet heartbroken at the thought of letting her go outside of the family. The situation grew more complicated with the involvement of extended relatives and opinions from every corner. Some celebrated Zoey's engagement with open arms, showering her with blessings and encouragement. Others, however, whispered doubts, questioning whether Zoey was ready for such a commitment or whether her partner was truly the right choice. These voices of opposition created ripples of tension, adding chaos to what should have been a purely joyful celebration. Zoey, determined not to let the negativity overshadow her happiness, stood firm with her partner, declaring that their love was strong enough to withstand any storm. Yet the chaos only grew louder as wedding plans unfolded. Every detail seemed to become a battleground. Guest lists, cultural traditions, religious expectations, and even the choice of venue sparked debates. For Zoey, it often felt like her wedding was being hijacked by conflicting opinions. What she wanted most was simplicity, a day that reflected her love story surrounded by the people who mattered most. But the noise of opposition often threatened to drown out her voice. Through it all, Jennifer acted as a bridge between Zoey and Bill, reminding her husband that this was Zoey's moment and gently urging him to place his faith in the daughter they had raised so well. She encouraged Zoey to have patience with her father, assuring her that his doubts came from a place of love, not rejection. Jennifer's role as the peacemaker became essential, guiding both her daughter and her husband through the turbulence of conflicting emotions. As the wedding day drew closer, Bill's dilemma reached its peak. The night before, he admitted privately to Jennifer that he feared he was losing his daughter. Jennifer reminded him that parenthood was not about holding on forever, but about letting go when the time was right. Her words struck deep, forcing Bill to confront the reality that Zoey's happiness mattered more than his fears. On the day of the wedding, chaos still swirled around the event. Last-minute disagreements, unexpected absences, and the constant pressure of external opinions threatened to overshadow the moment. Yet when Zoey stood at the altar, all the noise faded. She radiated confidence, love, and determination, a reflection of the young woman she had become. At that moment, Bill's dilemma found its resolution. Looking at his daughter, he realized that this was not about losing her but about gaining a new chapter in their family's journey. With tears in his eyes, Bill finally gave his full blessing, a moment that silenced the opposition and reminded everyone that love always wins over doubt. His heartfelt words to Zoey and her partner were a testament to his growth as a father, acknowledging his fears but also celebrating his daughter's courage and happiness. In the end, the wedding was not perfect by traditional standards. It was chaotic, emotional, and marked by clashes of opinion. But it was also authentic, filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering determination of a young woman to follow her heart. Zoey's wedding became more than just a ceremony. It was a lesson for her family and everyone watching. It proved that love is not about avoiding opposition but about rising above it. For the Kleins, this event was another milestone in their extraordinary journey. Zoey stepped into her marriage with strength and confidence, backed by her mother's blessing and, most importantly, her father's reluctant but heartfelt support. Bill's dilemma did not vanish overnight, but it transformed into a deeper understanding of what it means to be a father, to raise a child strong enough to make her own choices, even if it means letting go. Zoey's wedding chaos will be remembered not for the arguments or the doubts but for the triumph of love over opposition. It showed that family blessings are not always immediate and dilemmas are part of every parent's journey. But when love is genuine and determination is unshakable, even the most chaotic path can lead to a beautiful new beginning. The Little Couple has always been a show that highlights love, strength, and family. Fans around the world have watched Will Klein grow up from the moment Bill and Jen welcomed him into their family. From his early years of discovery to his teenage transformations, Will has become a fan favorite. But now a new chapter is unfolding, one that has taken many by surprise. Will Klein, who has often been the light-hearted, smiling, and carefree boy on screen, is seeking help from fans in a way that feels deeply personal and emotional. Will's journey has never been simple. Born in China and adopted by Bill and Jen at the age of 3, he has always been navigating life with unique challenges. Over the years, fans have admired his resilience, his humor, and his ability to adapt. But now, as he steps into young adulthood, the challenges are shifting. He is no longer the little boy who needed his parents to guide him through every hurdle. Instead, he is becoming a young man who faces his own questions about identity, responsibility, and the pressures of growing up in the public eye. The recent moment that sparked attention came when Will made an unexpected post online. He reached out not with the usual updates or cheerful selfies fans are used to, but with a heartfelt message asking for guidance. He explained that he has been struggling with balancing school, family responsibilities, and his dreams for the future. Fans were stunned, not because he was struggling. After all, every teenager faces challenges, but because Will opened up so directly, breaking the boundary between reality television personality and everyday young man. In his message, Will admitted he felt overwhelmed by expectations. Growing up on television had given him a platform, but it also meant that his mistakes, fears, and uncertainties were often magnified. He acknowledged the love and support of his family, especially his parents, but explained that sometimes, even with love, it's hard to find the answers. He turned to fans not for pity but for advice. "You've all watched me grow up," his message implied, "and now I want to hear from you. What would you do if you were in my shoes?" The response was immediate and powerful. Fans from all walks of life flooded the comments section, sending words of encouragement, advice, and personal stories. Some wrote about their own teenage struggles and how they overcame them. Others reminded Will that it was okay not to have everything figured out. Many praised him for being brave enough to speak up, knowing that not everyone would have the courage to be so vulnerable in front of millions. Bill and Jen also stepped in, expressing how proud they were of Will for speaking up. Jen, known for her wisdom and compassion, highlighted that asking for help is not a weakness but a strength. She reminded everyone that even though their family has shared so much publicly, Will deserves the same space to grow and make mistakes as any other young adult. Bill echoed the same sentiments, saying that Will's openness only proves how much he has matured. The most touching part of the situation is the bond between Will and Zoey. His younger sister quickly showed her support by writing her own words of encouragement. She reminded him that he was never alone and that she admired his courage. Fans loved seeing the sibling bond, noting how Zoey has always been her brother's biggest cheerleader despite their playful differences. What makes this moment so significant is that it humanizes Will beyond the television screen. For years, fans have seen the joyful highlights, the family adventures, and the funny, heartwarming episodes. But now, Will is giving fans a glimpse into the real emotions behind the camera. It's a reminder that growing up is never easy, no matter who you are. Fame doesn't erase challenges, in some cases it intensifies them. Some fans speculate that Will's openness signals a new era for the little couple. Could this be the beginning of Will taking more ownership of his story? As he grows older, many believe he may become the central voice of the family narrative. His willingness to seek advice shows maturity and self-awareness, qualities that could make him an inspiring figure for other young adults facing similar struggles. On the flip side, others worry that the pressure of public attention might become too much for him. After all, not every teenager wants to have their vulnerabilities broadcasted. But judging from the flood of supportive responses, fans are more than ready to stand by Will as he finds his way. They don't see him as a celebrity who must be perfect, they see him as a young man navigating life with courage. Interestingly, this isn't the first time Will has captured attention with his openness. In the past, he has spoken about being proud of his adoption story and has participated in conversations about diversity and acceptance. He has also shared his love for technology, his dreams of pursuing a career that makes a difference, and his passion for making people laugh. But this time feels different. This isn't just about sharing interests, it's about asking for direction. And that step alone shows growth. Some of the advice fans gave included focusing on small daily goals instead of overwhelming long-term ones, learning to embrace failure as a stepping stone, and remembering that self-worth isn't tied to grades or achievements. Others encouraged him to lean on his faith, his family, and his passions. A recurring theme was the idea that he doesn't need to have it all figured out right now. Life is a process, and he is still very young. The message of support has created a ripple effect. Other young fans, inspired by Will's openness, began sharing their own struggles in the same comment threads. What began as Will's personal plea has now turned into a larger conversation about the pressures young people face today. In that sense, Will has already accomplished something powerful. He has built a bridge of connection between himself and his audience. The journey is far from over. Whether or not Will chooses to share more in the future, this moment will be remembered as a turning point. It proves that the bond between the little couple and their fans is not one-sided. It is a relationship built on mutual trust, respect, and genuine care. Will's decision to reach out shows that he values the voices of those who have supported him all these years. As the little couple continues, fans will undoubtedly keep cheering for Will. They will celebrate his victories, comfort him during setbacks, and remind him that he is never alone. Because ultimately, this is not just about a television personality asking for advice, it's about a young man learning to navigate life with courage and a community coming together to remind him that he has a world of support behind him. Will Klein may have started this conversation by asking for help, but in reality he has given something even greater to his fans, a reminder that vulnerability is strength and that asking for help is one of the bravest things anyone can do. Dr. Jen Arnold has always been a force of resilience, compassion, and advocacy. Known best for her role on The Little Couple, she has dedicated much of her life to showing the world that people with dwarfism are not defined by their height but by their abilities, values, and dreams. However, even with years of progress, education, and awareness, there are still words and attitudes that act like weapons against the little people community. At the heart of this fight lies one of the most harmful and outdated words, midget. Recently, Jen Arnold has stepped forward, not only to raise her voice but to lead a movement that could change the way society treats people with differences. With her powerful petition against the use of this slur, she is turning personal pain and community struggles into a campaign of empowerment and change. The word midget has been around for centuries, but it has never been a neutral description. For people with dwarfism, it has always been used to degrade, belittle, and mock. It carries a history tied to exploitation in circuses, freak shows, and dehumanizing portrayals in entertainment. Jen Arnold, who has faced her own share of challenges, growing up with a rare form of skeletal dysplasia, understands firsthand how damaging labels can be. Every time someone uses that word casually or as a punchline, it chips away at the dignity of an entire community. And Jen has made it her mission to remind the world that words matter. Her campaign began when fans noticed her speaking out more openly on social media about language. She explained that it wasn't just about being politically correct, it was about human respect. Jen shared how children with dwarfism, including her own, are at greater risk of bullying when peers pick up on slurs they hear in pop culture, comedy skits, or even from adults who don't think twice about their words. For her, this is deeply personal. As both a mother and a physician, she knows the psychological harm of being reduced to a slur can linger for a lifetime. The petition that Jen launched quickly gained traction because it was framed not as an attack on free speech but as a plea for human dignity. She called on major media companies, online platforms, and schools to recognize midget as hate speech and ban its use in official content, just as they have done with other slurs targeting marginalized groups. By placing this issue on the same level as racial and homophobic slurs, Jen highlighted the need for consistency in how society protects its most vulnerable communities. Her petition emphasized that words that dehumanize one group create a culture where discrimination thrives against all groups. Support poured in from all corners. Fans of the little couple rallied behind her, sharing their own experiences with cruel labels. Parents of children with dwarfism signed in overwhelming numbers, grateful that someone with a platform was bringing visibility to a topic that often gets dismissed. Advocacy organizations like Little People of America amplified the campaign, praising Jen for being bold enough to bring the conversation into the mainstream. Her petition soon became more than just an online document. It transformed into a movement of awareness, sparking news stories, podcasts, and panel discussions. Yet, like any fight for change, the pushback came too. Critics accused Jen of being overly sensitive or argued that banning words infringes on free speech. Some even mocked the petition, deliberately using the slur to provoke. But Jen, in her trademark grace and strength, did not back down. Instead, she used these moments to educate. She explained that free speech is not about the right to hurt others without consequences, it is about responsibility. Society already acknowledges that some words are too harmful to be casually normalized, and this should be no different. Her campaign also opened the door for broader discussions about representation. Jen reminded the public that for decades, people with dwarfism have been used in movies and television as comic relief or objects of ridicule. The slur reinforced those stereotypes, reducing them to caricatures rather than complex human beings. By challenging the language, Jen was also challenging Hollywood, comedy, and media industries to do better. She pointed out that inclusivity is not just about casting, it's about respect in every layer of culture, starting with the words we use. As momentum built, the petition became a tool for education in schools. Teachers began using Jen's message to explain to students how slurs impact communities. Parents used it to teach their children empathy and respect. Online, hashtags tied to the petition trended, drawing in people who might never have thought twice about the word before. For Jen, the progress was proof that change begins with conversation. She often said that while laws can shape behavior, it is culture and awareness that change hearts. What makes Jen's fight particularly powerful is the combination of her professional expertise and her personal experience. As a neonatologist, she has spent her life caring for premature and medically fragile babies, many of whom face lifelong health challenges. She knows the importance of compassion in medicine and how small gestures of respect can make a huge difference for families. As a woman with dwarfism, she has lived the reality of being underestimated, stared at, and labeled. Her petition is not abstract, it's rooted in lived truth, which makes it resonate even more with those who hear her speak. Her journey also highlights the role of allies. Jen has called on people outside the dwarfism community to sign and share the petition, stressing that change requires collective action. By uniting voices across different backgrounds, she is proving that social progress is possible when empathy outweighs apathy. Celebrities, disability rights advocates, and even medical colleagues have joined her, pushing the petition further into the public eye. Looking forward, Jen's petition has the potential to spark larger systemic changes. Already, online platforms are being urged to update their policies to classify midget as a hate term. Schools and advocacy groups are considering stronger anti-bullying language that directly addresses slurs against little people. And importantly, conversations about inclusion in media are evolving, with calls for better roles and more authentic representation. Jen Arnold's campaign is not just about banning a word. It is about rewriting the narrative for an entire community. By speaking up, she is protecting her children, standing with countless families, and showing the world that words are not harmless when they carry centuries of oppression. Her petition is an invitation for everyone to reflect. If language has the power to harm, it also has the power to heal. Choosing compassion over cruelty is the first step toward a society that truly values diversity. In the end, Jen's fight is about dignity. It is about ensuring that no child grows up believing they are less because of a word thrown at them. It is about demanding that respect is not conditional but universal. Through her courage and leadership, Jen Arnold has proven that advocacy can start with one voice but ripple into